Good afternoon, dear friends. We welcome you, everyone. We would like to greet you here. We would like to greet everyone who is connected here today to our virtual class. Now I would like to give the floor of this online class on Hidden Doctrine to the head of our center, Luke Michael Ironside.
I'd like to extend my welcome to everyone here today. It's great to see people joining us from all around the world. And something that's wonderful about this study class that we have been doing now since earlier in the year is that we have both a regular attendance, people who have been joining us consistently throughout these study classes, yet we also have newcomers at each class, which is wonderful. And I extend my welcome especially to those people who are joining us for the first time here today. The wonderful thing about Theosophy is that it's like a gigantic jigsaw puzzle. And to some extent, we each approach Theosophy from different angles. We all put a different piece on the board, and it's a mystery, much like an uncompleted jigsaw puzzle. And what we are trying to do here as a study group is each put a piece on this puzzle to complete the picture. And that's what we've been doing for the past number of months now. We've been very carefully working our way through the first stanza of the Secret Doctrine. And what amazes me is that in these very few simply stated precepts that we find in the stanzas, there is such a wealth of information to be uncovered and discussed and reflected upon. And so while the stanzas that we look at may be simply one sentence or one line in length, there is such a wealth of information contained within these sacred precepts. And that's what we as a group here are gathered to uncover and gathered to study and gathered to try and understand better as students of Theosophy. And so we have students joining us from all around the world, from all continents of the world, from many different countries. The videos of past sessions of these classes have been viewed more than 4,500 times. So there's obviously an active interest in the study class, which is wonderful. And with that very positive introduction, I'll now hand over to the course leaders. I'll hand over to the head of the Moscow School of Theosophy, Vladimir Yari. Thank you very much.
Greetings to all the participants of our online seminar. I wish everybody good luck and not to miss this opportunity to join this supreme knowledge provided to us by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. We shall start, as a rule, with a thought of the day. A thought of the day tells us the following. The kindness is checked by the readiness, and the sincerity is by anger. So today we will be checked to our sincerity and our kindness according to this thought of the day. Every one of us will participate to this conscious acceptance of these motives, this stimuli, which are for us and for the society, will reveal the state of our consciousness. In what state are we now? The majority of humanity will be according to this thought in unconscious way, because they do not read it so they do not know about it. Yet we do have this opportunity because Yelena Petrovna provided us with this opportunity. And the Pearl of the East, she gave us these thoughts for the whole year. And now we have a possibility to be engaged, to participate in this thought that passes through our consciousness and is revealed in this outer world. This strength is unconditionally very powerful when our understanding of this process is there. It is a psychic energy which can affirm the best qualities of our life according to this law, of course. And today we will study Sloka 5, stanza 1. Darkness alone filled the boundless all, for father, mother, and son were once more one, and the son had not awakened yet to the new will and his pilgrimage thereon. You see, the world is organized so that this sun or the universe, the necessary universe in the shape of a Fohat of the creative ray of this energy is already traveling, is already in its pilgrimage on the wheel of time. And according to this, we will following HPB's illusion, and according to Dzian's stanzas, we will be the travelers on this wheel of time. And it will be our initial point of departure. And then the meanings of Nidanas for us will all of a sudden reveal their sense. The zodiac signs are expressed by Tian Kogans and Devons as Nidaners. And in each sector, there is a hierophant of these zodiac signs. But their essence is in particular substances that they contain, in their differentiated and in their state of laws of all charge. And these substances, which are guided by the elements of everything on the wheel of time, they are presented by 5 elements. These 5 elements, and the 5th element we do not see on the wheel of time, because we don't see it, but we don't see it only because for us the expression of the structure of space is not very clear, which is symbolized by dodecahedron. This structure of the space is expressed by the whole color chakra. The whole color chakra shows this structure in form of 12 zodiac signs, 12 Nidanas in its rays. It expresses the main synthetic idea. The ether contains all the combination of the elements: fire, earth, air, water. It contains all that. It is a synthesis. And this synthesis is very important for us to know, to understand what does it consist of. And Here we have Nidanas, which karmically were engendered by the person. And they were engendered in a different combination according to the person's awareness, self-consciousness. And we may see that in the beginning of the third race, in the middle of the third race, the humanity received a spark of self-consciousness or a spark of mind, of conscious. And Kumaras gave the sparkle, esoterical Kumaras and exoterical Kumaras, two classes of Kumaras. One type are called Agni, the janitors of the humanity, and others Bodhisattva, it says the lunar or moon moon lords or the uh, janitors of the humanity. They gave us these impulses for the self-consciousness, and the human being from the third race in the middle has it. When they started to create, to engender Nidanas, and this sequence of Nidanas on the wheel of time goes clockwise, like this. This movement clockwise is the creation of the person and this human being. And this Nidanas go through 5 races because we have 5 organs of senses, which are, so to say, in their manifested state, which we have, that we own, let's say. And because of this, they go through 5 races, through 5 states of material, of the matter. And in this movement, if we imagine this wheel, and from every principle of Nidana, we draw a ray vertically till the next Nidana, we may see a range of rays which make human movement like a squirrel in the wheel, a wheel of samsara. Illusion. It is the movement of illusion, the everlasting, hectic movement in the circle. And since we have nidanas, which go through 12 zodiac signs like hierophants, they go against the clock or counterclockwise, and this movement is basically the knowledge. If the human being understands the laws of being, they have the short way according to the zodiac sign, the knowledge of the true nature of the spirits of the elements. Let's clockwisely, which means go into the ancient times to our grandparents, understand their stimulus, their motivation according to Maya, but that Maya which provided the opportunity to create these nidanas, to Tiankogans and Devas. They were following the supreme law rules and they were engendered consciously. But the human creation was founded on the illusion, on Maya of illusion, because of the ignorance. And this ignorance was due to our limitations. And these limitations, with the differentiation that took place in the beginning of the human creation, this ignorance makes us go um, through this centric movement. a centrifugal movement will only start when a human being understands these laws that were suggested by the universal thought mind to the human being through the hierarchy of Tian Kogans. Like this, we have this double movement where we are now. So, how could we liberate from this samsara circle? And the stanza tells us, darkness alone fill the boundless all. Which means that we, according to this stanza, we have to accept that our mind is ignorant or darkened. This state of ours. And if we recognize this darkness of our mind, we may be as father, mother, and son together one more time. What does it mean? It means that we will not be limited by the polarity, but our differentiation. We will exclude this polarity and by thus become free in this limitless and endless and continuity of life, the eternity. And from the point of view of eternity, we understand that our our mind in its essence is absolute. And when our consciousness is absolute, then we are able to perceive the essence of things or the emptiness or Maya or illusion. And Jan Kogans gave us in the constellations of the zodiac circle the mystery of life, mystery of being based on Maya. Because only according to the Maya, the illusion, we may achieve the perfection of the sense for our minds. This nature of senses was provided by Tian Kogans to reveal our Fohatic creative nature. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine this point? Very important. According to this creation of the zodiac, we understand, we have this understanding that all the Maya's differentiation for us is illusion. It is just an illusionary veil, but in our essence, in our core, we are ignorant about the reality. And even nirvana is relative, because nirvana contains in itself Maya, or a concentrated chaos for our senses. Do you understand that? For our senses, but Maya for the senses of feelings is an necessary element to transfer the universal thought through the guides, the mediators for the human being or for the whole humanity. Thus, the builders start to build our organs of perception. Thus, we start to have this organs of perceptions, of feelings. It's the work of Tian Kogan. They provided us with this impulse. Yet Dhyani Buddhas, they are supervising the humanity, developing it, developing the nature of the soul or consciousness, which will be able to perceive or the directed speed to the spirits of elements. That's why the consciousness is only being developed by an aspiration, by this constant aspiration, directed aspiration. And here is the secret of the evolution of our minds and our soul. So what is the combination of Nidanas for today? First of all, we understand that the Aquarius era has arrived, has started, and HPB told us about it. Aquarius symbol is the symbol of fire, and fire or Agni is the fire of love, the creative power. It's Fohat, and in its initial state, it's Kama. The god Kama, the purest, and its first emanation from the heart of prototypes. This ray was pure in the sense that he loves all the manifestations through the magnetism that it emanated, that it expressed when he differentiated in Prakriti the main idea of the universal development of the evolutionary state of mind. And this differentiation was pure. Why? Because every element that was separated as plus or minus, matter or spirit, were bearing synthesis in themselves. Synthesis or magnet, which was provided the aspiration of one point to another. And this was provided by Fohat or love. But the humanity perverted it by their minds. And then our Kama manas, of course, became a negative element. Now it is separated by the differentiation of the mind from spontaneous, reflectory, pure manifestation through which this passionate nature, which always takes over in karma, in this love, protects only its self, its egoistic self, this separated self from the whole, and thus the person engendered nidana. So the combination of nidanas tells us the following. We take the era, the epoch of the fire, cooperation. You see the thought, cooperation, and cooperation means consciousness community, like brotherhood, the brotherhood of consciousness. It's a very complicated point for the whole energy, for the whole era. This energy is separated in this space and is present in the constellation of Aquarius. The Aquarius constellation itself symbolizes this era. But what is Aquarius? What energy is it guided by? Here, hierophant of monkey or harmony and beauty, because monkey is harmony. It means the astral body we should create it in accordance with harmonization of our female and male parts, or the matter and the spirit. And we have to understand the purity of this element. In other words, our female and male nature should achieve this karma, this love, and by their awareness to perceive the action of the creative power by this psychic energy. With this power in every one of us, which is being born in our hearts, karma or pure love is in our hearts. It is in the cup of accumulation and what do we accumulate there? And how we accumulate there by our aspiration to spirituality or awakeness of our mind, because our mind and the awareness means spirituality, and our aspiration to it gives us motivation and power. And in this era, we create a new astral body of the humanity, which will be altruistic, and it will have synthetic qualities and let them manifest as qualities of life, joining two elements, the matter and the spirit, uh, the female nature and the male nature. And there we will start the processes perceived by human beings as creating the bricks of society consciously. We are talking about the marriage, about families, without spending or wasting the energy to some unconscious and ignorant connections, but being conscious, creating cooperative brotherhood like society. This wonderful opportunity we have in this era. This era is a female era, it was also said. It's not by chance that the Supreme Lord had this incarnation, and that's why he became the Lord of Shambhala, because he only knows exactly how to organize and coordinate the humanity and make it developed by recognizing the female energy as the leading one. Now we may go ahead to talk about humanity engendered by Nidana.
There is a reason in our spiritual consciousness, but through transformation and our human consciousness, it gets a little bit differentiated state. That's why there are a lot of opinions about the states of these Nidans. You know about sutras, 12 of them. Sutras are actually like volumes. There are 12 volumes like that. And each volume or each book contains with it a certain meaning of each Nidan. That's why we have a very multifaceted and limitless meaning of every Nidan. Every human being has their own synthesis of understanding. If they are going to base on the spiritual consciousness through their strive for pureness of the reality, that's why they will be close to expressing the meaning of the cause. That's why we need to understand the causes, and we have them. The century of white dragon, the year of white bull, the month of yellow dog, the week of blue snake, and the day of white pig. And now let's have a look, and let's imagine a very important combination. Let's start not from the general to the particular, to some certain part. We are imagining our sociological consciousness, and in our projected reality, we have to understand there's this projection, and we have to have rational thinking to do that. Intuition and rational thinking, it's a synthesis in us of intuition and rationality. we have to move from what we can sense and what we can experience through our imagination. How can we imagine a day that is concentrated in the century, year, month, week, and day? All of this is concentrated in a day, and we have a certain understanding, human understanding of this, but it will be closer to our life. It will not be isolated. If we start from a general phenomenon, it will be far away, but now we will have it in application. Now, imagine this boar, which is white boar, the day of white boar, and it is summarized and concentrated in this one day in our consciousness, which has the fear element, and the pace of it is ready to show this idea of that day. The whole epoch is concentrated in one day. That's why we have an opportunity for our state of consciousness to express the meaning of the universal thought. So this white boar is in a constellation of Sagittarius, which is the symbol of the third flame in the wheel of time, which represents the hierarchy of Agni, and Beatrices. So those who provided the humanity with the sparkle of mind. Some of them were sparkled by them, and others were left without consciousness. All that happened in this flame. Self-consciousness in this flame was present, and that's how all the potentiality was given to the person, which was represented in the day of wild boar. And now we are all present in this day, in this synthesis. How can we explain that? In this day, in order for us to have an opportunity to discern the quality of our consciousness, first of all, and the consciousness to see without masks other people, their state. This knowledge gives us the opportunity to recognize others. This is a very important moment in the day. If we apply the thought of the day to this summa summarum, to the synthesis of all our knowledge, then we will see that the kindness is tested in poverty, and the truth will be tested in anger. We will be chased by poverty and by anger. These factors will test our consciousness and our state. This is just a hint, some help from the thought of the day. In this synthesis, we get some abstract ideas that might seem abstract, like the universe, the signs of zodiac, the era of Sagittarius, what astral body it should be sincere and good. That's how the era is formed for the astral body of such pureness. We need sincerity, to be sincere, open to communication with what? Between us, cooperation between us might be relative, but first of all, it is about communication with some higher natural powers. Some higher powers are the positive side of human ingenuity. That's how it expressed through courage, through heroism, and other qualities like that, by like love and other qualities, loyalty. That's how a person should learn how to cooperate with such higher energies and to create astral bodies. Now, the era of the century of White Dragon. In the year of White Dragon, humanity came to the earth. It came to the earth in White Dragon Nidanas. It's complete wisdom. The century of complete knowledge has in itself this spirit of originators that instilled it with potentiality of spiritual consciousness, the levers that allows a person to evolve, to develop, and to try to understand the sense of being. Next, the month of yellow dog. We live through a unique month. Let me move to the year of white bull. Sorry, I skipped it. The year of white bull is the symbol of realization. This year, we closed it, or we gave this direction of the space parameter. It's the turn of the teaching wheel that helps, that avoids overlapping of individualities, that helps them to show their own consciousness according to the powers of higher will. And now we move on to the month that is in this direction of space. The direction that is determined by Venus, which is a symbol of high manners, and it is determined in yellow dog Nidanas. And in yellow dog Nidanas, Buddha entered nirvana state. This yellow dog has seen the turn of the teaching wheel, the beginning of that, or the wheel of good law. In 2018, when we lived through yellow dog year, now we have the month of yellow dog, and it is represented by the turn of the wheel. Imagine the month that gives this opportunity to have the whole 2018 year concentrating in this Nidanas, and we are in that state. that allows us as Buddha once upon a time to get to this nirvana state. This state of the highest harmony. And if actually we consider cross, which is represented by white dragon, and cross of dragon or wisdom, and in this direction of space we see black dragon, one point of the cross, next blue sheep, and next point yellow dog. It's one of the 4 powerful Nidanas, which has in itself a yellow dragon and yellow dog. It's an axis, 2 Nidanas that are in 4 powerful Nidanas, but they are the most powerful. Yellow dog, I mean. The dog means identity and means strength, which is based on the feeling of knowledge or intuition.
And this intuitive thinking is our accumulation jar, which may be manifested as the turn of the wheel of apprenticeship. It becomes the something leading in the human being through the heart, through the sense of knowing or knowledge. It leads us. At this point, the next point of the cross is yellow oxen. It ends. The white ox finalizes the circle of wisdom. It realizes the turn of the wheel of apprenticeship. And this year now for us is exoteric. It is manifested, and it passes the new direction to the space, the following. And this parameter is called the body of Buddha. The body of Buddha, when a new person is engendered, this person was created in the week of Black Tiger, the 23rd of October. This week, the esoteric year started, and we live in this year, the year of Black Tiger. This mantle, the passing of the torch occurred, and we started a new year. Now, all of us are Buddhists. All of us, we are newborn. We are born in a new body. We are all pure. We are all Buddhas. In other words, our pureness, the pureness of our perception of reality, of our mind, becomes the conscious follower for us to use the psychic energy, the energy of life, to enlighten our life and to improve its quality, to improve the quality of our mind. This year is very important. And now let's go to the week. So this is the week of blue snake. The snake is a symbol of mind. It represents the second Nidana. The snake bears the energy, Jati. It's the energy which defines our life, in what shape we will reincarnate, as a human, as an animal, as a plant. But in this situation, we are all human beings, people. That's why we are conditioned by this life of human perception of life, of the world around us. And the snake defines by itself a mind or consciousness which can be managed by conscious willpower. This is a human quality and its potentiality. That's why we have to expand our mind, our consciousness, and then our mind will be able to act, to compare, to synthesize the thought in its relative endlessness and freedom. It's very important point. Now let's go forward and analyze the day. We have explained what the day manifests, and it manifests all the consequence that is expressed by our day today. Yet today is also managed by the fire ray. This ray is symbolized by the planet Mars. This is a ray of spirit. This is the ray that can be very harsh, very hard. It's a fire that is expressed by the essence of the law of the laws. It is uncountable. It is. It has a military sense. It is the achievement of the higher justice. It requires courage. It requires power. It is an ineluctable ray. It gives us a sense of seeing our purpose very clearly. In other words, it is reflected in us as a clairvoyance, a clear vision. That's what it requires. That's why in the boar, the sum of all knowledge should be enlightened by this ray of the clear vision. And the aim, which as a sum of knowledge, the boar manifests, boar can manifest all this knowledge. And every one of us has a certain ability to this combination of seeing today's problem over their proper consciousness, which or dark spots, what kind of ignorance is present there, something that we have to overcome, what kind of skunk or vibration of skunk is primordial and attracts it to one or another pole. It's soul, it's heart, it's mental, astral, karmic desires. And according to these desires or skunk, this vibration, we may upgrade our desires and turn them into spiritual aspirations. And then our skunkas will start to get old and die. to lose energy, and another group of skunk who will replace them, those that will provide the possibility for the higher vibration, which can turn us from one state to another, from one plane of being to another plane, or let us achieve the nirvana state or the state of harmony, because nirvana is a state of harmony in its essence. In other words, it is a transition, it is a state of zero, the not zero or laya state. Thus, we enter into the laya state when we are between the worlds, and all the worlds are manageable by us. We can rule them. When we are in the fourth world, like now we are in the wild boar, in this manifested world in its form, we are able to achieve the state of harmony, and by this we achieve nirvana. So three worlds for us become a consciousness and clear, for we understand what do we have to manifest and how we can manifest it according to our state of mind, our senses, our consciousness. You see, everything is so connected. Everything is so real. That's why our life in this world of forms is extremely important. Only in this world we have a possibility of synthesis of the three worlds, or manifest the spiritual consciousness. It's a very important point. And those who try by their ignorance to achieve the nirvana state, by forcing, by exercising physiological exercises of manifestations, by living the life, the present moment to some illusion, some illusionary image of life. These people are ignorant towards their reality itself. No matter how hard they try, the spiritual world for them will not be realized, is not realized. They do not even touch it, even though they may do miracles, just whatever is proper to dense world and astral world, but also to lower manas. They only have this and only for one life. Yet the spiritual achievements are there for all lives. They will remain with us as our achievement. That's why the correct understanding of what is nirvana is the hierarchy of the lower to the upper. It is the understanding of hierarchy. And it is a dissipation. And this is something that leads to the state which only proper to spiritual world or harmony. This is where harmony is. This is where the hierarchy is, the coordination of the lower and the higher, which means that the human being in this earth has all the possibilities of using consciously its potential to achieve the understanding of the causes of being, to discover his genius nature. The earth is ill, and the roots, saptaparnas, are there of the human plant, And from this earth, it acquires all the elements which are proper to our earthly being. Its term is the astral waters, which have a dual reflection, informational reflection of the field of what? Of ether. In the ether, the lotus flourishes, the flower itself. And in this ether, which can, in order to manifest the God thought, the Buddha is sitting there in that space parameter where we came with black tiger year in engendering, creating of the new person by illuminating our consciousness, by knowing of what we see as our aim. And the day lets us show, manifest by the white ball that it contains between the black tiger and white boar all the direction of parameters, the manifestation, the synthesis, the totality and integrity of our mind in its clearness and purity under the ray of Mars, under the ray of feeling, courage, and uh, virility. And by entering this world, we can, by the fearlessness, achieve all that because the higher forces only can approach when we do not have fears. Fears make the higher energy disappear, but the courage, the fearlessness, let us have this synthetic sense, this silver thread between the teacher and the student, between the higher and the lower. Thus, by this absence of fear, by this courage, we create cooperation. Can you imagine that? We have the year and the finalizing of this parameter. The 10 years, the decade, which is symbolized as 7 rays, because the person is a symbol of 10 folds. The consciousness is 10-fold consciousness. There is the matter and the spirit and the ray in the middle, which differentiated the matter and the spirit. But when we join them, we become this ray, or we transform and become 11. The human being becomes light bearer or a saint, and every light manifestation is a property of being saint. Thus, we manifest the light by our aura, because this joining happened, the joining of the aura with the inner person. This is the combination. Can you imagine that our combination of Nidanas? And when we understand right the Dhyan stanza, which we have today, this darkness alone, which fulfilled everything, because the mother and the father, the spirit and the matter in your self, and the son is you, who joined the energies of mother and the father, and they created you as the universe. When we joined this in us by our creative ray, so when we directed our energy, Bhattichito, the energy of compassion, it's the state of our mind, compassion. then this Kundalini energy got separated. We separated it from the energy of the spirit, of our right perception, understanding. And then we are capable of using this Kundalini energy in order to transform our heart. And our heart will transform all our nature and the world which surrounds us. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your very sincere speech, which tells us about Nidanas from the big cycle to small cycle and gets concentrated in this day. Our classes are always surprisingly taking place in particular days, particular energies. And we notice that when this moment of our online class or international seminar happens, there's very strong nidana of connection happens. And it's very interesting that we can be in these energies where we can define them and we can understand what's going on. Today we are studying fifth Sloka for the first stanza. And what is important to notice from the systemic study of the Secret Doctrine, when we approach the next sloka, it's important to draw a line from the beginning till this moment. This is how we are gathering Nidanas together. It is the same about slokas. And today we will try to fulfill this stanza, these planes of being with the state where the space was, where the energy was, and give some correspondences with the human principles so that we do not leave this great cosmogenesis, but be close to life so that we can transform and transmutate these energies in ourselves. And this systemic approach, when we getting close to next stanzas, in this case it's stanza 1, fifth sloka, we start the thought with the first sloka because it has some kind of a logical continuity of this movement. And with this movement, we are achieving this climax where we are today. Today, we're studying the fifth sloka on the first stanza. So, darkness alone filled the boundless all, for Father, Mother, and Son were once more one. And the Son had not awakened yet for the new will and his pilgrimage thereon. Quite useful is, as I mentioned, to englobe the certain points of the first sloka till the sloka. This is how we get concentrated on the matter of the uh, secret doctrine. So this structure, we can see it on the slide. The first sloka, the eternal parent wrapped in her ever invisible robes, had slumbered once again for 7 eternities. Sloka 2. Time was not, for it lay asleep in the infinite bosom of duration. Sloka 3. The universal mind was not, for there were no archi to contain it. Sloka number 4. The 7 ways to bliss were not, the great causes of misery were not, for there was no one to produce and get ensnared by them. So in the first sloka, we see that unique state which tells about 7 eternities, and this is Father. second sloka is telling about some duration, and this is the space which got this period of duration, which is mother, where there was no time. Time was not. Universal mind was not. Sloka 3. 7 ways to bliss were not. Sloka 4. And in the third, the universal mind was not. The and here we see the sloka 5, where the mother and son were one. It's the stanzas first and second. The darkness alone filled everything, for father, mother, and son were one small one. So the darkness is the father.
Darkness, their son, and it appears and disappears because nothing is added to light to make darkness, and nothing is added to darkness in order to get light. This state and these actions are evolutionary necessity of this cycle. There is nothing else without absolute, but light and heat are phenomena of the same nomenon. They are focus of the light, and heat is the movement of this light. So light and heat are phenomena of the same nomenon. Father and mother are male and female nature. They are in the root nature. Spirit and substance, the result of which is in the universe of the sun. The spirit is not consciousness, but it is having a consciousness. So the father has the substance of light, which is material, and the sun is hidden there. Averich says that all energies and elements are going from the same element, which is fire, or primordial energies. That is why they talk about the unity of all and the common beginning from which the universe emerged. So the pilgrim, full of new forces, will continue his journey. He did not take anything that didn't belong to him. He didn't prevent the aspiration. He allowed the phenomenon of space grace. He gave freedom to forces that were supposed to come, and he acquired his only property, the light. What is this life? It is the sun or the mind, the only property a human can have. Movement or aspiration of the fire lies in the principle of the light. Nothing will come faster than light, as it is supported by jets of the omnipresent fire. Karana is eternal cause. It was alone. It only abides during the nights of Brahma. Karana in prior means the potential manifestation when Manitara begins. That is, the presence of Karana becomes its movement. Father, mother, and son are once again merged on the night of Brahma, in the time of Pralaya. Everything in the objective universe returns to its one, primary and eternal cause to manifest again at dawn. Brahma is father, mother, and son. It's the condition of spirit, universe, and sun. We can, in the cosmological sense, the universe is planetary spirit, the human sun. In the spiritual sense, the universe is a noble deity, and spirit is planetary chain. The sun is earth. The previous objective universe has dissolved into its one primary and eternal cause. And so to speak, it preserved in the state of dissolution in space to be differentiated again and crystallized in the beginning of a new day or activity of Brahma, the symbol of the universe. Let's look at the correspondences of these concepts and ideas. Let's have a look how they are planned. They are noble deity, the universe, planetary chain, the planetary spirit, mother soul, earth, human son or body. Their manifestation in the periodic manifestations on earth actually happened during the wheels or manvantaras. That is, everything that has a manifestation in the future is a manifestation of Brahma. Father, mother, and son are three unmanifested logos. Let's have a look how they are present in geometry and their movement. The first logos there is the unmanifested father. The second logos is the semi-manifested mother. Interesting notion, semi-manifested. She remains semi-manifested till the sun emerges, the universe. And when the sun emerges, this appearance of light emerges, then the mother manifests. And the third logos is the universe sun, once again united during the periodic pralaya. They merged into a single unmanifested entity and they dissolved in each other, which means they once more became the one light, the one that will be manifested by the movement of Fohat. What is Fohat? It is a synthesis of the seven creative rays emerging from the third logos. We know that Fohat is at the top, according to Blavatsky. It's the sum of all creative forces. All of these forces that were not manifested, Fohat becomes to collect them, and to the bottom, it has not only creative forces, but also electrodynamic forces, which means that the strength and power of Fohatic energy permeates all planes, from highest to the lowest. How does it permeate them? It permeates it with the power of separating homogeneity and the power of uniting the opposites. The positive and the negative aspects of Fohat energy are equal in power, and one of them can act more effectively than the other when it is subordinate to the higher form of the energy of the divine will. In Agni Yoga, there is a more complicated division is given of Fohat. Pan Fohat, Para Fohat, Fohat, sparks of Fohat. On the basis of Para Fohat, we can have a look at the symbol of triangle within a circle. This symbol means Para Fohat. It is also a symbol of monad. When Fohat is being divided into the highest which it can be nourished by, we understand that monada is the highest cosmological concept. Another example of monada, Pan Fohat, Para Fohat, lower. The Jew becomes Fohat and it gets the sparks of that. And beyond, we have Para Fohat, which is nourished by Pan Fohat. You see on the scheme, all is connected. It represents the granulation of primordial matter in this in terms of sparks. It can get to the earth, and it is explained what means. Rare explains in her letters what this division means. Thus, the Para Fohat is the main of all starting psychic energy in its highest cosmic aspect. And Fohat is the next aspect of it in the manifested universe. And psychic energy permeates into all tissues, establishing balance throughout the organism in nature, cosmos, and human being. When we talk about the formation of psychic energy, we need to start with awareness of its presence. For this awareness, we need to touch one of the most basic concepts. The basic concepts of understanding of psychic energy is Aum. The great Aum is the psychic energy fed by prana. Psychic energy is the synthesis of all nervous radiations. It can be perceived only if the nerve centers are ready to receive it. If it is not ready, then it is not possible to permeate there. So psychic energy also receives the ray from the space, and if it acquires the quality of magnet, then how can it happen? Kundalini is the same vital force or psychic energy that acts through the center at the base of the spine. But interestingly, in high spirits, it works through the heart, and it starts and continues acting through the heart. Psychic energy is boundless in variety of its qualities and manifestations. The first condition of the growth of psychic energy is constant application. And the best way to accumulate it is silence. So you can be silent, but not accumulate energy. Let's consider what a real silence is. Actually, resistance, self-control, alertness, vigilance, these are the conditions for intense consciousness accumulation of energy. With sufficient duration of this process, it begins to crystallize in obvious deposits, and the crystal of fiery energy increases and grows. There is process of accumulation of fire power going on. So calmness, balance, fearlessness are conditions for keeping psychic energy from waste. And when waste occurs, a person will not be able to fly, he will not be able to walk, and in the extreme cases of waste, will not be able to move. So this question about accumulating energy is the main in the life of an earthly person. You can only accumulate there in the dense world. How? To focus on thought, as every thought contributes either to accumulation or to waste. Cheerful, bright, bold, confident, joyful thoughts collect elements of fire. The dull, hopelessness of consciousness will kill every fiery spark. Psychic energy contains purifying forces and leads them to action. Concentration of consciousness on psychic energy removes obstacles on the path of comprehension. Psychic energy has the power to carry a way to the goal. Psychic energy is the creative power that created the threefold universe. It bows low before its own incarnation because it doesn't see itself, but it sees its own incarnation similar to God, the creator, or the eternity without primordial energy. It's an amazing thought given in the book of Klagen, which we can apply to our everyday life in every day when we express our creative power. We bow not to ourselves, but to the representation of the creativity that we see. And it is like divine, which is fed by the original energy. and psychical energy is primordial. It is the first representation of the fire, original fire, and the higher form of divine will is our logoses and their action. Therefore, Fohat, Blavatsky calls the Devini Prakriti of all the three logoses. There is first light, second light, and the third light. And they are all three logoses. Let's have a look at them.
Let us see what are they like. The first logos already contains the present but not yet manifested potentiality hidden in the depths of the Father Mother. What is this potentiality? This is the light that will build the whole universe. This logos is not manifested. It is the primordial reason. The second logos is the abstract totality of the demiurge fathers, the builders of the universe. They can build the universe according to the perfect prototype and organize the matter, which itself moves chaotically. That's why they are the builders. They put this matter into order. The second logos is responsible for the state of spirit and the matter, or the unique life of the spirit of Purusha and Prakriti together by joining all these two uh, states, Purusha and Prakriti. The third logos is the final differentiation of the second logos, the individualization of the cosmic forces, the main of which is Fohat. This is the creative and destructive force, the essence of cosmic electricity. The third logos, we may see how these logos are on the planes of being, and now we can see the third logos, the cosmic thought base, my heart or mind, cosmic universal soul, cosmic numen of matter, the basis of intelligent manifestations of nature, and in nature also called Mahabhuti. Yet in this spirit it is the unique uniform state. The unique single reality is dual aspect in the conditioned universe. Its dual aspect is darkness and light. As soon as darkness, or rather what is darkness for ignorance, disappears into its own realm of eternal light, leaving behind only its divine manifested representation, understanding of the creative logo opens up and they see in the ideal world previously hidden in divine thought. What do they see? They see prototypes of forms of everything and proceed to reproduce and build or sculpt transitory and transcendental forms according to these models. And the first form of this um, prototype is will. The will is a symbol of the expression of the world of or sphere. The great will is the completed period of our cycle of being, or Mahakalpa, of, which means the complete revolution of our special chain. It's the will symbol of time, which joins all of the cycles. What cycles does it englobe? Everything starts with involution. When the life is unfolding, it's the growth, the development of life, and evolution, which continues the process. It's the collapse of life forms. There is a day as a uh, top point, highest point, and the dawn, the first quarter of the cycle, and the last quarter of the cycle is a twilight. This is how we have a will, which is the joining of the consciousness, uh, the arcs of consciousness. So when it starts the pilgrimage when the sun becomes the consciousness and manifests itself uh, by this wheel, by this arc. So when this ring, we may say, when he starts the pilgrimage, because the wheels of spirit are the rings of the heart. The ring of the spirit is the ring of the heart, the ring of centers is the ring of actions, and the ring of aspiration is the ring of love. The ring of creativity is the ring of cosmic magnet. They all four rings are a unifying movement of all these planes: spirit, actions, aspirations, and creativity. The unmanifested is the opposite pole of the manifested. What we are talking about, Yelena Petrovna is uh, telling about it. The uh, darkness is the abyss, and the abyss is the shining sun of the hidden father of space, which means that the darkness, the ununderstandable principle for our intellectual state, no shape, no matter, no color, whatever that can be manifested only by words. Yet the light is dual meaning. The It has double meaning: the eternal, absolute, identical to eternity, which means simultaneously one. And the second state or meaning of the light as a manifestation of heterogeneous opposite of darkness. It becomes multiple, it manifests itself. It's the same as that Vishnu is the one with Brahma, yet different from him. If Vishnu is eternal X and uh, the in terms of time as uh, are the other numbers of the different from him, and other symbols fixes the power of Vishnu or the power of light, the power of his movement, and any of his manifestations are multiples of seven, because he is himself, Vishnu, is seven. He is sexless Brahma, which means in essence it is the matter and the spirit which are the two primary aspects of Brahma. Vishnu, we may say, he is the creator, the guardian and destroyer of the world. He liberates those who worship him or whose essence is both one and multiple, just like light. Vishnu is the cause of the creation, existence, and disappearance of this world. Its essence is one, eternal, pure, and free from any defect. He is the root of the world and contains the whole world. He is Brahma. He liberates those who worship him, whose essence is homogeneous and unique. He is light, and he is the root of the world, and he contains all the world. And see where Brahma remains homogeneous, differentiated entity became undifferentiated again. The matter has begun to differentiate, but has not yet taken shape. Having emerged from the zero state, it becomes active and passive, not only passive. And as a result of this differentiation, which gives rise to evolution, and subsequently there is a sun which appears, or manifested cosmos, which will exist until the next Mahapralaya. If there is already father-mother state, then there is no longer Laya state. The father and mother are two forces, the centrifugal and the centripetal, that create the sun. But what are these forces? Now we can see how the mother and father uh, unite these powers, and the sun becomes the symbol of seven rays. The centrifugal force has a divine uh, spiritual attraction, and centrifugal is the gravity. If the centripetal tendency overcomes the centrifugal one, the planet approaches the sun, and individuum achieves the higher level of being. Uh, if the centrifugal force exceeds the centripetal force, the planet moves away to a greater distance from the sun and gets on the different orbit and that state, which means the individuum goes to the lower plane or state of being. When the planet crosses the line where centrifugal and centripetal forces neutralize themselves, the influence of centripetal force begins to steadily increase, and planet rushes toward the sun with gradually increasing speed to join the sun in the end. When the centrifugal force becomes omnipotent, it descends from the orbit tangentially and goes into the depths of empty space. When a planet gets out of the control of the sun, it gradually loses its life-giving warmth and creative energies that initially got from the sun, and transforms into cold mass of neutral particles, which will be in the space till the point when this mass will get dissociated in different atoms. This cold mass can be con- compared to the fifth principle, when warmth and the light, or the energy of the warmth and the light that left it, can be compared to the sixth and seventh principle. After acquiring the new orbit, or uh, while passing from one orbit to another, the planet cannot go back because different orbits in different levels never intersect with each other. And this is the universal law, which acts immutably in the cosmos, nature, and the human being. Person is seven principles, but this doesn't mean that they have seven shells, seven bodies, or seven souls. Now we may see how this Maya, which is centripetal force, comes out, which is, and centrifugal force is the mother. When they join together, they create the third power, the sun, which gets manifested in this seven uh, principles, which are physical, astral bodies, higher manas, lower manas, buddhi, atwa, and etheric double. Cosmos is not somewhere else. It goes through the center of the human being, and all the information, transformation, mass, and whatever energies are, they go through the person. The person is the center of cosmos, the center of the universe, the center of all worlds. Let's see how this passing through may take place. You see how it goes through all the centers of cosmos, nature, and human. And the human joins in himself these key points of creation, this creative power. Thus, the light should give the impetus to the monadal movement through the will, and the consciousness of the person will expand and achieve the universal um, state. It will be the one with the universe. At this moment, the person will get free through their own manas from the dense matter by destroying those qualities that chained this person to physical incarnation. These qualities are limitation of the mind. All the seven principles are aspects of the one principle, but even this one principle is only a temporary one. and periodic ray of eternal and infinite flame or fire. Darkness alone filled the boundless all, for Father, Mother, and Son were once more one, and the Son had not awakened yet for the new will and his pilgrimage thereon. Let's have a look how it may be on the planes of being. Darkness alone filled the boundless soul, for Father, Mother, and Son were once more one, and the Son had not awakened yet for the new will and pilgrimage thereon. There was no yet the ray or the eternal light or infinite flame of fire. On the planes of being, we see what ray was missing in this infinite plane, what reason of the fire. Thus, this triangle uh, inserted in the circle, which is the first and highest manifestation of cosmic monada, gives this impetus of manifestation of the sevenfold ray, which is the sun. Uh, Dear listeners, let's based on this sloka, go back to the stanza Xian and see how the stanza may sound, with which kind of understanding. Darkness alone filled the boundless all. Let's think and let's try to remind what is infinite and how can we feel in this infinite if only this feeling is not infinite by itself. Darkness alone feel the boundless all. For mother and father and son were once more one. This is the basic condition when the darkness, infinite darkness, fulfilled the boundless all. And mother and father were, and the son were one. And this is the condition, and this is the one. And uh, look, this one in what in the Russian language, it also connotates with something inside one uh, state. They were united and they entered this infinite, this eternity. So the condition for this period of pralaya is only possible by the joining Father and the Son. Yet the Son was not awakened yet. Who is the Son? The light, the universe. It will manifest when Manvantara starts by manifesting this wheel or the new cycle. And when this period starts, the light will start its movement in the cycle, and the sun will start its pilgrimage thereon. Thus, this first ray will appear, the first ray of the infinite eternal light. And this ray is the pilgrim, is the traveler, which is filled with the new power, new energy, continues this way. It he didn't take anything from anybody. It just gave the freedom to powers. It has only his own property, the light or the mind. The fifth principle of the person is the highest mind. The fifth sloka, which we are studying today, the fifth principle of the person, corresponds to the fifth sloka. This state of the space, this principle, which is not manifested yet, of the person, ray, that hasn't started its pilgrimage on the wheel yet, which is eternity. This is how, by thinking, by meditating, by contemplating every notion, we collect some new form. This form is changeable, it's plastic, flexible. Today we have seen how it happens. and we tried to put it, to collect it into some unity, to complete it, to feel this boundless all, this infinite eternity of the forms which still obey to the supreme law of the universe for cosmos, nature, and the human. And when we apply it to ourselves, we may always identically find these energies. Where do they come from? What are they? Who are they? How this light starts to manifest itself and disappears? In what moments? When do we become pilgrims or travelers? When do we start our pilgrimage on the wheel? What kind of state of equilibrium do we have to achieve to start this trip? Just as the demiurgs, so the creators, started to organize the chaos of matter, thus we have to organize our mind, the chaos of our mind, for this Father, and then the light, the Sun, and who has to start his trip on samsaric wheel before we achieve this ray of light, this uh, no reasonless reason. Who can understand Parabrahman? Nobody. Yet, by the human being can understand it by achieving the purity and aspiration, achieving this light. The stanza is not easy. This stanza contains this principle of the human being, the principle of the human body, extracts it and unfolds it so that you can see how it happens, how it can happen at all. And we can only admire this music of the Dhyan poetry, Dhyan stanza. We may see how this mind is shining, how it starts its movement as a monad, as a supreme aspect, and as a link between cosmos, nature, and human being. This is it. This is how the great and wonderful symbol of the matter and the spirit united. And this principle is the base for everything. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. And thank you particularly to our interpreters. These ideas today were complicated and they were being born today in this wonderful Nidan of the White War, the Psalm of Knowledge, which has the all the completeness in it, just as the will we talked about. This is how this Nidan of the day connects this sloka and unfolds it in its consequence and identity and our perception of the forms. Today, with us, we worked with Olga Tomczyk. Thank you. Tatiana Kostenko, thank you very much. Tatiana, for being with us today, for conveying this thoughts. Sergei Nosetkin, all our technical team, Maxim Yegorov, Alexander Kuleshov, Alexander Brezhnev, thank you. And particular gratitude to present for your preparation of the presentations. You spent your time so that our participants may visually see the hidden, to see the untold, unspeakable, and to feel it by every single cell that is being fed by a prana or love. Thank you all. And now I give the floor to our main dear partner, our dear director of the Virtual Center for Theosophical Studies, Luke Michael Ironside, who has been with us for 2 seasons already.
Well, first of all, thank you once again for a most illuminating overview of this stanza and the detail to which we went into this stanza. We are now one step closer to a deeper understanding of the first stanza of the Secret Doctrine. And while every stanza is unique and has its own special meaning, its own special purpose. What I find really interesting is the recurring themes that we find embodied in each of the stanzas. And some of these recurring themes we've been discussing, particularly in this season, are the ideas of cycles and dichotomy, the idea of Manvantara and Pralaya, that we're in an internal cycle of coming into being and going into a period of non-being, and the seeming paradox of this, how these cycles relate one to another, the idea of involution and evolution and their relationship. And in particular today, we looked at the stanza, "Darkness alone filled the boundless all. For father, mother, and son were once more one, and the son had not awakened yet for the new wheel and his pilgrimage thereon." So again, we find this very poetic language, such concepts as darkness, father, mother, son, pilgrimage, wheel, very interesting recurring words throughout the Secret Doctrine. And darkness is a word which is often perceived as being negative, something to avoid, something associated with evil, or something in some way bad. But what we learned very early on from a study of Theosophy and the Secret Doctrine is that darkness is not something to be afraid of. Darkness is not something evil. There is nothing wrong with darkness, because the dichotomy we create between darkness and light is in the end a false dichotomy. Darkness is the natural condition of our universe, and it's certainly not something to fear. So in the words of Madame Blavatsky, darkness is the eternal matrix in which the sources of light appear and disappear. And so it is darkness and not light, which is the absolute reality which underlies the various manifestations of light. And if we consider the parable of Plato's cave, the shadows dancing on the wall, the shadows of illusion, well, what is it that creates shadows? What is it that creates illusion? Well, that is in itself light, isn't it? Light which creates the play of shadows upon the wall of the cave. So it's a very interesting perspective. And so all such occurrences of light, or manvantara, which is a period of light and life and manifestation, are necessarily characterized by motion and change. So movement is a condition of light. Motion is a condition of light. Darkness, in contrast, is eternal and unchanging. There can be no motion or change in darkness. And to further quote Madame Blavatsky, ever darkness means the ever unknowable mystery beyond the veil, in fact, Parabrahm. Even the Logos can see only Mula Prakriti. It cannot see that which is beyond the veil. It is that which is the ever unknowable darkness. So we can see that darkness itself, the ever unknowable darkness, is simply an epithet for the absolute, or Parabrahm. Darkness, to refer now to the words father, mother, and son, darkness can be personified by the father and mother, who give birth to the son, which is light, or the universe, or Manvantara. The wheel is the cycle of Manvantara, to which the universe awakens at the end of its pralaic sleep. To end with a quote from Madame Blavatsky, thus the darkness is regarded as eternal, while the appearance of light, or manifestation, is a non-eternal phenomena occurring periodically. So I'd like to once again thank the course leaders, the technical support, the course developers, the translators, everyone who has made today's class possible, and of course the participants. Thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time.
Thank you so much, Luke Michael Ironside. I would like to say as well that in Nidan, I was born in Nidan of blue dragon, and opposite to it, the blue dog Nidan is placed where Michael Ironside was born. Are points of this crest that is connected us. So if we have a look at our cooperation through Nidans, it is determined by a certain sequence, and it is right, it is how it should be. That's how it is based. We had to create this virtual class in order to show the importance of study of the Secret Doctrine. Thank you so much, Luke Michael Ironside, for finding some time to express your vision on the subject, and it is uniquely helps us to polish our understanding and vision of this unity. Thank you so much. And today, actually, we do not say goodbye. We just want to invite everyone to our live broadcasting of International Congress that will take place in Sochi on the 27th and 28th of November. It's the 5th Congress. I invite everything to attend this broadcasting or come to Sochi despite all obstacles. You can attend. This conference will take place in Zvyozdny Conference Hall, Gagarina 5. This is Sochi address. Now we'll have a look at 2 videos. This is about the Congress. Have a look, be inspired, and let's continue our cooperation not only on online webinars, but as well on the 5th conference. So thank you. Goodbye. Let's meet at Sochi.